Neil, we're just getting this breaking news out of Deutsche, right? So they have a new chief executive. I know they're kind of looking at the operations they can sell or spin off, and we understand that they're weighing keeping the India retail and the wealth operations. If you look at Indian banking, is it lucrative?
Potentially, yeah. It's a huge market. It's relatively underbanked. Certainly, if you look at credit levels relative to the rest of the kind of norm in EM. The issue is the operating environment for banks in India is incredibly difficult. A lot of the local banks are weighed down by a legacy of bad debt, the failure to write off assets that have soured in previous credit booms. They've got to work through all of that before you start to see some of the fruits of some of the financial reform really boosting consumer spending and also investment as well.
I'm so glad you caught this, Francine, because this is the wenting of it. You can't do business unless you go there. And that's the heart of the matter with this Deutsche Bank announcement.
Right, but a lot of the times, I mean, Deutsche Bank is I guess, a case, in particular, but it's, I imagine, a lot of cost up front, and then it depends on whether the returns, financial inclusion, of course, one of the big concerns. Is it more lucrative to have a joint venture in China than it is in India, if you're a bank?
Great question. I mean, I think a foreign bank coming to China, the operating environment is equally tough, right? You're going to be dominated by the big four banks there. It's much more difficult, I think, for foreign banks to get a foothold in that market.
So what does capital economists think about the Eurasia concept? Not Ian Bremmer, Eurasia Group, but say in Robert Kaplan's new book, The Return of Marco Polo, this idea of the Indian Ocean bounded, and the idea that India will prosper on a long-term basis at a 7.5% GDP versus China at 6% as well. Is it an ascendant India?
I think in certainly relative terms, yes. I think if you look across the emerging world, where are you going to get 6-7% growth? It's very difficult to think of anywhere in a major emerging economy other than India. The question is, does that deliver the kind of transformation that we saw in Korea, Taiwan, and ultimately in China too? Yeah. Probably not. At this stage of development, Korea, Taiwan, China were all growing at double digits, not 6 or 7%.